All right, and we back on the forecast. Now, we can't be afraid to start setting our own rules and enforcing them. And this is not going to stop until we do it. People have no problem harming us or shedding our blood if they know it doesn't come with consequences. If they know we're just going to cry and beg and ask for peace and ask for justice. But you can't ask for justice. If somebody else gives you justice or equal treatment, they can take it away at any time. Don't let nobody shame you for defending yourself. And never feel bad about defending what's yours. We try to compromise and negotiate with people who shed our blood for a lot less. In Milan, Georgia back in 1919, two white boys, John Dowdy and Levi Evans, went into the black community and tried to break into the home of a black woman, Emma McCullers. Now, they were trying to break into her home so they could rape their two young daughters. And when the family refused to let them in and fought to keep them out, they pulled out a gun and started shooting the house up. Now, this made the two young black girls run to a nearby house of a black woman who was a widow named Emma Tisber. So these two white boys followed them to this woman's house and broke in trying to rape them. And this woman couldn't really do much to protect them. So these two young girls tried to hide under the porch. Then these white boys started trying to rip up the wood just to get to them. Now, a 72-year-old brother, Barry Washington, who lived next door and heard what was going on, went over there to try to protect this woman and these two young girls. Now, the white boy, John Dowdy, tried to shoot at his brother, Barry Washington. But after a struggle, this brother, Barry Washington, somehow got the gun and shot this white boy. Then, after the 72-year-old brother, Barry Washington, shot and killed his white boy, he went to the police and turned himself in. But then, of course, a lynch mob started forming at the jail. Then the white mob went around the town of Milan, Georgia, and forced every black resident to leave, so they wouldn't be a witness to what they were about to do to the 72-year-old man. Then after they forced all the black residents out of town, they went back to the jail at 2 o'clock in the morning and pulled the 72-year-old man, Barry Washington, out of the jail and then lynched him from a pole. And then they shot his body up until he was in pieces. And whatever was left of his body, they kept hanging for over a day. And then after that, the mob went into the empty black neighborhood and started burning down homes and businesses. When the black residents did come back, they threatened them not to say anything, or the same thing would happen to them. But one brother, Judson Deakins, wrote a letter to the Tuskegee Institute, who made it known, and the governor did offer a reward. But of course, the white residents stayed on code and nobody was ever punished. Now, back then, 100 years ago, they tried to cover up their crimes and they got away with it. And today, they still try to cover up their crimes. Even though today we can get it on video, we still get the same results. In LA, a brother, Donta Taylor, was shot by the Los Angeles County Police. Now, let's see what led this brother to end up getting shot by the police.
The LA County Sheriff's Department is facing a multi-million-dollar claim. It was filed by the family of a man who was killed in a deputy-involved shooting. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes is live in downtown Los Angeles with the details. Rob?
Michelle, this case hinges on a handgun. Deputies say the man they shot pointed a handgun at them, prompting that shooting. But after the shooting, no handgun was found, and now the family of the man who was shot wants $50 million in damages. Family members of Donta Taylor packed a small conference room at their attorney's office this afternoon. They brought photos, one showing Taylor volunteering as a youth basketball coach, the other showing the area where the 31-year-old was shot and killed. That August 25th shooting, the family says, not justified.
The story that the deputy sheriffs came up with is fabricated. It is a lie, and we will prove that.
At the time of the shooting, the LA County Sheriff's Department said when a deputy approached Taylor in Compton, Taylor pulled out a handgun and took off running. When deputies caught up to him, they say he pointed the gun at one of them, prompting that shooting. But investigators never found a handgun.
No gun was found because there was no gun. They had control of the area immediately after the shooting. No one was let in. They can't say that somebody came and took the gun. There was no gun.
The family has filed a $50 million claim against LA County, a precursor to a lawsuit. This afternoon, the Sheriff's Department issued a statement, quote, "The Sheriff's Department has yet to receive or had the opportunity to review this lawsuit and will reserve comment on pending litigation." But Eyewitness News ran a records check on Taylor, and it shows a lengthy rap sheet. Convictions for felon in possession of a firearm, domestic battery, and resisting arrest, among others. But the family's attorney says crimes in the past are no excuse for the August shooting.
These police officers that did the shooting did not know him. They did not know his background, whether or not he was an angel or he had had trouble before. They didn't know that.
Now, family members say they don't know why Taylor ran from the deputies, but they're asking LA County District Attorney Jackie Lacey to now look into this shooting.
Now, according to the police, two cops, Samuel Aldama and Mizrain Orrego, who was supposed to be a part of a gang unit, randomly pulled up on his brother Donta Taylor while his brother was just walking to the store. Now, they just pulled up on his brother and randomly asked if he was on parole or probation, and the police said this brother said no. Then the police said out of nowhere, this brother just randomly pulls out a gun and pointed it at the police, which don't really make sense. Why would you just pull out a gun randomly at the police for no reason? But they said his brother pulled out his gun and then he took off running. So then the police say they split up, and the cop Mizrain Orrego said he had him blocked in. So he said this brother pulled out his gun and pointed it at him, and then he shot him 2 or 3 times. And he said he may have hit him, but he don't know. So then the police said this brother Donta Taylor started running at the other cop, Samuel Aldama. And he claimed he thought this brother shot his partner, so he opened fire 10 to 12 times. Then the other cop, Mizrain Orrego, came back and shot another 2 or 3 times. And this brother Donta Taylor ended up getting shot 6 times and died on the spot. Now, the police whole story is based on him having a gun. And they say he pulled it out and pointed it several times. But after they killed this brother, they searched his body and never found a gun on him or anywhere in the area.
It was August 2016 when Donta Taylor was killed in a deputy-involved shooting in Compton. Taylor's family has already filed a $50 million claim against the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. But today, attorneys for the Taylor family say they learned the 2 deputies involved in Taylor's fatal shooting are part of a violent clique that works out of the Compton Sheriff's Station. The clique all have the same tattoo. The attorneys say 6 months prior to Taylor's shooting, another young man, a former college football player who was visiting a friend, was confronted by the same 2 deputies. Sheldon Lockett says, like Taylor, they accused him of having a gun, then called him racial slurs and beat him.
The biggest thing that they used in my ear, while they're holding me down, or, that was like a repetitive word they used.
The lawyers say there's a history of violent cliques within the Sheriff's Department, and during a deposition, one of the deputies involved says he felt ill will towards African Americans.
Do you have any ill feelings toward African Americans?
I do, sir.
They are a part of a more violent aspect of policing. They say that you earn your ink when you get these tattoos, and you earn them by doing violent acts.
In a statement to Eyewitness News, Sheriff Jim McDonald says, "My expectations are very clear as to employee behavior and performance, which has been communicated in orders, directives, briefings, policy, and training. We are moving ahead in examining the tattoo issue, our culture, and the culture of tattoos in our society as a whole."
Now, even though they never found a gun on his brother Donta Taylor or anywhere near him, they probably didn't realize they didn't have a gun to plant on him at the time. And they tested his brother for gun residue, but they said the test on his hands came back inconclusive, meaning they can't prove a gun was in his hand. But they claim gun residue was found in his pocket and on his waistband. And of course, they did everything they could to justify the shooting. And while the cop Mizrain Orrego did retire, the cop Samuel Aldama is still patrolling the streets. And the media wanted to bring up this brother Donta Taylor past, even though it had nothing to do with this case. They didn't want to mention what was going on with the gang inside the LA County Police.
Do you have any ill feelings toward African Americans in general?
Ill feelings? I'm not.
I'm sorry?
Can you repeat that question one more time, sir?
Do you have any ill feelings in general against African Americans?
I have feelings for African Americans, sir.
What are your feelings?
They're just human beings, sir.
Did you hear my question, sir? Do you have any ill feelings toward African Americans?
I do, sir.
Okay.
Strong accusations today from two Beverly Hills attorneys who claim deputies at the LA Sheriff's Compton station are biased.
The attorneys say the deputies have something else in common: tattoos.
CBS 2's Dave Lopez is live outside the attorney's office in Beverly Hills to explain. Dave.
Well, Peter, the allegations occurred at the Compton station, but we're in Beverly Hills because you just mentioned it. The attorneys representing the people involved in this case, it's a civil lawsuit, are based in Beverly Hills. Very strong allegations, as you said, very dangerous allegations in the words of the attorney, who told me in all the years he's been practicing here, decades, he's never seen anything quite like this.
This is predatory action.
He was talking about two LA County Sheriff deputies based in Compton.
Giving kudos for violent acts.
And longtime LA attorneys John Sweeney and Stephen Glickman are so convinced that Deputy Sheriff Sam Aldama is such a danger, they're putting up these billboards in Los Angeles in the next few days.
We need to shine a light on what's been going on in Compton.
Mostly
Sheldon Lockett said Aldana and his partner, Mizrain Orrego, used the N-word as they constantly beat him in January of 2016. Those same two deputies were involved in the shooting death of Donta Taylor in August of 2016. Taylor was unarmed.
Do you have any ill feelings in general against African Americans?
Aldana, in a deposition about the Taylor shooting, he paused for 45 seconds before answering that question.
I have feelings.
He was also asked in that deposition about this tattoo that he has on his leg. He said he does have it, along with about 15 other deputies in the Compton station.
It's a skeleton which symbolizes death, flames symbolizing that he's coming out of hell.
Tattoos on deputies goes back more than 40 years. Deputies who have the tattoos do not refer to themselves as gang members, but rather members of a clique with such names as Vikings, Breakout Boys, the 3000 Club. In 1971, in a lawsuit, a federal judge called the members of the Vikings, quote, a white supremacist group, nothing more than a neo-Nazi gang. Late today, this statement from Sheriff Jim McDonald, quote, I want to be clear, this incident has been under investigation since it occurred. As with any investigation, any new evidence or info that may be uncovered will be included and reviewed. If our investigation finds any evidence of misconduct, appropriate action will be taken. Again, the words from the Sheriff Jim McDonald, who did not want to do an on-camera interview. A footnote here, Orrego, the one deputy, is no longer with the Sheriff's Department. He left a year ago. The other deputy involved in this, Aldama, the one that was given the deposition, he no longer is out in the field, but rather is assigned to desk duty. They wouldn't tell us for how long.
Now, it turns out these two cops was in a white supremacist gang. Well, a gang besides the police. And all of these cops, they only found out about 20 had matching tattoos. I guess they all went to the tattoo shop together and got tattoos on their lower backs. Now, these two cops, Samuel Aldama and Mizrain Orrego, did this exact same thing to another brother, Sheldon Lockett. They tried to claim this brother had a gun and they brutally beat him. And the whole time they were beating him, they were calling him all kinds of nigga. Now, they didn't charge or punish either one of those cops then, and this cop Samuel Aldama is still on the force. And nobody in this gang was ever punished either. And instead of having to identify him, they just settled for a $7 million lawsuit, paid for by the taxpayers. But they'll never punish themselves. And until we make them face consequences for their actions, they'll keep doing the same thing. We can't be afraid to start setting our own rules and enforcing it, and making sure that spilling our blood comes with consequences. Until we start protecting ourselves and responding with more urgency than they do, we will continue to be in the same position. But we can't afford to be here another 100 years from now.
Y'all making my baby cry. She don't want to pay y'all, so they funded the nail shop. My glasses. Where your glasses? Call the police. You got that recorded? It's live, baby. This live. Call the police. Just call the police, man. Call the police. Don't kick them. Call the police. She's supposed to pay. She ain't paid. Okay. Call the police. Just call the police. Call the police. Don't kick that woman. Don't kick that woman. Don't try to. She don't want to pay her bill. I understand it. But he's not supposed to put no hands on her. Okay, the police going straight. What? They went straight on. And I almost fall. Why you gotta get hurt? Right, he should be putting his hand on her. She ain't want to pay her bill. She okay? She ain't want to pay, baby. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We just make sure to come here, pay my bill. What up, kid? It's okay, be quiet. Yeah, she tried. They say she ain't paid. Huh? My baby don't like that type of shit. I gotta go. Well, come on. I don't know. Be quiet. Shut up. She's trying to run away from the scene. No, alright, but still don't do that. They kicked her and everything. Alright, then fight her back. Don't fucking do that. Okay. We just wait for the police to come. Alright, do that. Don't fucking touch her. If she don't run away, we don't touch her, promise. Well, learn how to fucking chase. Don't fucking touch her, man. Don't be doing that shit. Don't do that. It's the I'm talking to all of their ass. They said she ain't paid, and they threw her on the ground. They kicked her and everything. It's on camera. They kicked her while she was on the floor. On top of her, they kicked her.
And she wasn't trying to run. She just said, stop grabbing me.
She just said, stop grabbing me.
Stop grabbing me.
But she ain't paid neither, so when they put out the taser and all that, I said, let me bring my phone out.
For the first time in my life, I felt like someone was judging me just based on how I looked.
You people are ignorant.
This is what unfolded when Mary Williams of Tampa complained about a room reservation at a franchisee-owned Hampton Inn in Lake Park, Georgia.
Your reservation is not in my system, one. We extended a courtesy to you, which we did not have to. Step away from my counter.
Whoa, this is so unnecessary.
Williams says she made a reservation on the Hilton Hotel app and received a confirmation email. But the Hampton Inn's computer showed her July 27 reservation was canceled when Williams checked in at the front desk. Williams says she did get a room, but it had fewer amenities and cost more than the one she originally booked.
There's nowhere else to put you. You're lucky you got in a room for what we did do, for what my girl had last night. She contacted me and I did check internally last night. But ignorance is bliss and you guys are just blazing this morning.
Williams also snapped these photos of a cracked toilet and broken rollaway bed in the replacement room. They wanted to switch the room for their next night's stay.
I know the standard, and I feel like my family hasn't been able to experience that.
Williams' sister Ebony Dobson was traveling with her. Dobson actually works in the corporate customer complaint department for Hampton Inn's parent company, Hilton.
I really feel like it was because of me letting them know that I work for the company, because I actually work for the corporate office, and so I think that was a trigger for them.
Dobson's attempt to handle the situation for Williams backfired.
If you have corporate complaints, walk yourself right in there and call. I'm not afraid. I don't know what you people think.
Well, first of all, Ms. Rose,
I do not want to talk to you. I'm not going to argue with a fool. Do you understand?
Wow. I don't know why you feel that way about me.
Shut up.
I don't know. Ebony, just stop.
Yes,
so,
please. I don't want to talk to you. I'm not going to argue with a fool. I'm just not.
So we're both asking questions. I know you ask questions. Are we going to have a conversation, or do you just get to talk?
Done. Do you understand the law is coming?
It's important to point out that there is no video of the moments before this encounter.
She said that you called her staff incompetent. I did not. Not at one time did I say that. The young lady was very nice to us last night.
When Simon Bailey watched the exchange,
Argue with a fool. Do you understand?
Wow.
the customer service consultant,
I'm in shock.
who worked in Disney for years, said this totally goes against industry standards.
So let me say this. I started at the front desk when I started in the industry a number of years ago. And one of the things that you're taught is that if a guest has a complaint, you don't go up the scale in your emotions. It is tonality, it is editing your word choice, and it's empathizing with them by saying, ma'am, sir, I understand how you feel, what has happened. How would you like for us to fix this?
For Williams, the fix would have been Hilton, letting her know they'd taken action. While Dobson says she got an apology at work from her superiors for the way everything was handled, Williams says she's still waiting.
You know, I'm almost 40 years old, and I can think back to all of the experiences I've had in my life, and I can't remember a time where somebody made me feel like I was less than because of my race.
Williams says while Hilton acknowledged by email that they received her complaint, they never offered a resolution. So she sent Hilton a letter from her attorney.
Asking, let's just talk about this. No, didn't ask for a refund, didn't ask for points, nothing. Let's talk about this. Nothing.
Hilton has not responded to our multiple requests for comment. I called the Hampton Inn in Georgia directly to see if Rose, the woman identified in the cell phone video, was still working there.
Do you know where she is, or if she's moved on to another Hampton or Hilton?
A woman named Misty Whitehead, who said she was the new general manager, told us her predecessor, Rose Lane, was terminated shortly after the incident we were calling about.
The incident that happened back in July did contribute to her being let go.
At this point, right now, whether she's with the company or not, she wins. You know, she won that day, and that's the thing that I think continued to eat at me ever since it happened.
Williams feels she did everything she could to seek a reasonable resolution.
Why are you not able to just be calm and have a
Miss Rose, it's fine. You think this is a joke, and if you're with corporate, how do you think this is okay?
How do you think this is
I'm
okay?
an educated woman, and you're the two most pathetic things I have seen this year.
Now Williams plans to share the video on social media to put public pressure on Hilton to resolve her complaint.
We know what that means. We know what you people mean, because she continued to use that, and more than anything, yes, pathetic, fools, crazy, you know, crazy, like uneducated, you know, those words were also hurtful, but it was what's attached to that meaning you people. I want them to see the video, and I want them to understand, I want to see someone face to face. I've got to sit down with someone. It's been too long for me to not get an email, a call, or anything. Now I need to see someone and let them know exactly how that made me feel.
A Delaware County couple says they were racially profiled by Pennsylvania State Police and that handcuffs went on right in front of their own home. The couple spoke tonight with Greg Argos.
back from a stint overseas for his job.
The last 3 years we were in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Rodney Gillespie, his wife Angela, and their 17-year-old daughter catching up with friends on July 7th.
It was outstanding, seeing family, seeing friends.
Had food and just laughing and having a really good time.
But that good time became anything but as Rodney turned onto Atwater Road, pitch black at 12:30 early that morning, where his upscale Chadds Ford home is located.
It was out of nowhere. These lights come on.
Followed by sirens. Turns out it was a Pennsylvania state trooper pulling him over. Since Atwater has no shoulder, Rodney says he decided to continue about the quarter mile to his own well-lit driveway.
The police officer gets out of the car and just starts, yelling, how old are you? Why didn't you stop?
The 52-year-old is then cuffed. Angela watching with her daughter, terrified.
The job was to stay alive, and I didn't move.
After finally identifying the couple, the 23-year-old Pennsylvania state trooper issues Rodney 2 tickets.
A citation related to basically crossing a line, and then the citation for not yielding to emergency vehicle, which they dropped.
The first, the family is appealing. But the bigger issue is why Rodney was even pulled over in the first place.
The word I use is some, implicit bias. He saw us, he thought there was something there.
Driving while black.
The family has filed an official complaint, hoping to see changes made to the training troopers go through, a goal echoed by Reverend Kyle Boyer, president of the Westchester NAACP.
Helping the state police to evaluate their training methods and, if needed, and it looks like it's needed, shore up their training methods.
In a statement, the Pennsylvania State Police write in part, quote, "Due to the nature of the ongoing Internal Affairs Department investigation, we cannot comment on specifics of the incident. However, the Pennsylvania State Police take any allegations of racial profiling or bias-based policing very seriously." It continues, internal regulations strictly prohibit racial profiling.
Oh, I like your sign, by the way, too. No niggers allowed.
That's right.
I like that.
You don't belong back there.
I don't belong back there.
No, you don't.
So what? Why would you rent to me if you're a racist? Why would you put a sign up there saying no niggers? What's wrong with you? What?
That's what I mean. You do not go back to that bar.
So you're going to say no niggers allowed. So you're going to say no niggers allowed, cowboys and girls.
That's right. That's cowboys and cowgirls only. You're not allowed back there. You and that, not back there.
Me and that, as in like what?
That hut.
That what?
You stupid nigger. You don't understand. That hut.
That hut?
Yeah.
I don't know what a hut is, honestly, other than an Indian hut.
I said butt nigger.
Butt nigger? You realize you're being recorded right now, right?
I don't care.
And you're sitting here calling me a nigger and everything else.
What are you? What are you?
I'm an African-American male. I'm an African-American. It's okay. It's okay. Thank you.
Hey, spray that shit, bitch. Come on over here, you fat ass. Bitch, you want some fucking shit? You ain't got shit, bitch. Something like this. Oh, man.
Get out of the way, honey.
Be careful. Hey.
Y'all had no choice. That's cool.
A family's trip to the swimming pool takes an ugly turn when police say someone started yelling racial slurs. The suspect left the pool in handcuffs and with a black eye. Our Steve Shaw is live at police headquarters with details about the outcome. Steve?
Kelly, we're going to protect the identity of the victim. He's a father and was a target of just terrible rage. But the ending, I think a lot of folks will agree, was karma. On Saturday, July 20th, at the posh Anatole at MacArthur Pool, the victim, an Army veteran we'll call Craig, was sitting and watching his son swim. According to police, Craig quickly became the target of vicious verbal attacks hurled by 28-year-old Joshua Valentine. We can't repeat the things Valentine said, but the apartment complex resident who invited Valentine there and now who never wants to see Valentine again tells me he was yelling white power. Valentine's now former friend told police Craig tried hard to brush it off. Then Valentine pushed through and swung a closed fist at Craig, who defended himself by blocking, then closed fist punching Valentine, knocking Valentine out. Valentine, though, hadn't been humiliated enough. When he woke up, he took off, but returned a few minutes later, swinging a T-ball bat. Witnesses reported Valentine swung at Craig, who partially deflected it with a chair. Before Valentine could attempt a second attempt with the bat, Craig moved in, then punched Valentine several times in the face, knocking Valentine out yet again. When he woke up again, police arrested Valentine for malicious harassment based on race. He spent 6 days in the county jail.
Honing in on our kids and taking advantage of taking away their creativity, thinking that it's a distraction from school. It's only a distraction if they're making it a distraction.
Vanity Man's niece goes to Narvi Harris, and Man was upset to see the posters calling some black hairstyles inappropriate. For boys, any hairstyle with a design is deemed inappropriate, while braids are labeled the same for girls.
The school has more than 90% African American staff and students, according to the school district. And parents say the issue isn't the hairstyle ban itself, but the presentation of the message.
These are elementary children that are walking into a school and seeing visuals of, children that look like them and, scientists just telling them what's appropriate and what's not appropriate.
Jason Allen is an Atlanta special ed teacher and advocate. He says this message only signals out children who look different.
Teaches children to be stereotypical and biased to other people who don't look like them.
Hair discrimination happens nationwide. In Florida, a 6-year-old was sent home for his dreads, and a New Jersey high schooler was forced to cut his locks off to finish a wrestling match. The DeKalb County School District told us, quote, the images depicted in this post in no way reflects a policy regarding appearance. The district called the posters a miscommunication and says school leadership is handling it. But guardians like Man say there was no problem until this poster created one.
A stunning reversal, a change of heart after prosecutors charge a 10-year-old with aggravated assault. He's accused of hitting a friend in the face in a dodgeball-style game on the school playground this spring. This case was first reported on Friday here on Action News, and it grew much larger, getting national attention. Jim Kirshner has the story in Detroit.
The mother of the 10-year-old who was charged said she just found out about those charges last week and that she had to be here in Detroit in juvenile court tomorrow. She says this is devastating.
To charge a child with aggravated assault who was playing a game is not okay.
The mother says both boys have been friends a year and a half. The incident happened in April on the playground of their elementary school in Canton during a dodgeball-style game. The other boy was hit in the head. He had an underlying health condition and ended up with a concussion. Now this mother says she and her son Bryce are being targeted because they are in a predominantly white area and will go to another school this fall.
And he doesn't even realize how much something like this is going to change his life forever.
Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy issued a statement this morning dismissing the charges and denying it was done under pressure. I will never try our cases in the court of public opinion or outcry. Petition drives, protests, and other public so-called pressure certainly have their place in a democracy, but they should never impact what is done in a case and should not affect outcomes. Justice always should. The attorney for Bryce and his mother says this is not over.
I wanted Kim Worthy and the prosecutor's office to see the person that they had charged with aggravated assault. This is essentially a straight-A student who had never done anything wrong.
Last week, 7 Action News interviewed the mother of the injured boy. She didn't want to show her face. She declined to discuss the case today. 7 Action News confirmed she told police she did want the case prosecuted. But last week, she told us a different story.
I tried not to let it get to this point.
The attorney says this is not over. He wants a call to action, people to call Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy to make sure that there are no other kids who have been charged like this, and their cases have not been in the news.
For what? For what? For what? For being up. Look, you got nothing in them, dude.
He was fired for repeatedly using a racial slur while arresting a black man last year. Now this San Antonio police officer wants his job back. The KSAT defenders first showed you the incident in March using video from that officer's own body camera. Today, former SAPD officer Tim Garcia began what could be a 2-day negotiation to return to work. It's tonight's Defenders Update.
Do I look like you on your Say it right. Put an R at the end.
Watching the video of Dwayne Robinson's trespassing arrest last year at River Center Mall.
If you're gonna say it, don't call me I ain't
Attorneys for veteran officer Tim Garcia admitted something.
Officer Garcia explained to Chief McManus that I'm not here to say I didn't do anything wrong. I did do wrong and I should be punished.
Yet they still say he shouldn't have been fired. But during today's arbitration hearing, the city said no way.
Having someone on the force, when asked why are you arresting me by a black person, saying I'm arresting you because you're an N-word, is just a liability.
Attorneys for Tim Garcia say he was fired simply because Police Chief William McManus couldn't defend any lesser punishment to the public.
And those are not reasons why you uphold terminations, because you can't defend it to the media.
The city says the chief's decision was the only right choice to make.
Frankly, the chief has no choice. He has to terminate this individual for the benefit of the department and the civilians, the citizens of San Antonio, because he's the chief of police for all demographics, all races in San Antonio.
Garcia's attorneys asked the arbitrator to return him to duty with back pay and benefits after serving a less severe punishment.
My lord,
Not yet.
I spoke with him.
What? Knowing fully well that
If I spoke to my husband before I could light this torch with my singing, I would lose all my beauty and my youth.
Yes, and yet you spoke.
He loves me, and I love him. I cannot bear to see him in so much pain. I would rather lose my beauty and have him leave me, rather than stay with him and hurt him so much.
Very well, as you wish. That morning, when the prince went to see Dina, she sat with her face away from him. He called out to her, "Dina!" Dina turns, and we that she is not as beautiful. Her glow is gone, and her face is scarred.
I am so sorry. I was under a curse that if I spoke to my husband before I could light the torch with my song, I would lose my beauty. But I could not bear your pain any longer, and now I am ugly.
At last, you have spoken to me. You love me so much that you gave up your beauty for me, Dina. You think I care how you look? I love you, and to me, you shall remain the most beautiful person in the world. This is the light of true love, which knows to sacrifice for your loved one. Down below, Dina becomes beautiful again.
watch me, watch me, ooh, watch me, watch me, ooh, 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 watch me, watch me, ooh, watch me, watch me, ooh, watch me.